Commander Rayden Cole had seen strange things across the stars' planets with burning skies, creatures that spoke in ultraviolet light, even a gas cloud that could mimic memories. But nothing prepared him for what happened the moment he stepped onto the shimmering white sand of Zel'Vira Prime. The wind was warm, thick with a sweet, unfamiliar scent. His boots left clean marks on the untouched surface as his crew followed close behind. They were Earth's first contact team, diplomats and scientists, sent to make peace with the mysterious Velari, an all-female alien race who had never allowed humans on their world. Their shuttle landed near a grand crescent-shaped temple, made of silver stone and glowing crystals. The structure hummed quietly, like it was alive. As Rayden took his first step forward, a group of tall, elegant Velari women appeared in perfect silence. They wore long, flowing dresses that moved like liquid light, shimmering with pale blues and silvers. Their eyes glowed softly, their skin smooth like glass. For a moment, it was beautiful. Then the unexpected happened. Without a word, the Velari women moved in unison. Each one placed her hands on the sides of her dress and slowly lifted the fabric, revealing the insides of their thighs, not in a sexual way, but as if showing something important. Strange glowing symbols covered their skin, swirling with colors and shifting patterns like dancing light. The human crew froze, caught between confusion and panic. Lieutenant Harris reached for his sidearm. "Commander, is this a threat or a greeting?" he asked tensely. Rayden raised his hand to stop him. He didn't know what was happening, but it didn't feel hostile. The Velari's faces were calm, almost solemn. One of them stepped forward slightly shorter than the others, with deep violet eyes and silver-tinted hair. She looked directly at Rayden and knelt before him, lifting her dress just enough to show a glowing star-shaped mark near her hip. Without speaking, she gently reached for his hand and guided it toward the symbol. Rayden hesitated. He felt the crew's eyes on him, unsure. But something in the alien woman's gaze told him this wasn't an attack. This was trust. He let her place his hand near the mark. The moment his skin came close, a wave of energy pulsed through his arm. His vision went white. He couldn't move, couldn't speak. Images flashed before his eyes, alien cities. A child hiding from fire, tears on crystal floors, hands reaching for help. It wasn't language. It was feeling, memory, emotion. Then, just as suddenly, it ended. He fell backward, gasping for breath. The alien woman caught him before he hit the ground. The crew rushed in. Dr. Lind knelt beside him, checking his pulse. "Commander, are you okay? What happened?" Rayden's hands were shaking. He looked at the alien woman, then at the others who were still holding their dresses open. It's not a joke," he whispered. "It's a ritual. They're not showing us skin. They're showing us their stories." Before anyone could respond, a loud thud echoed behind them. One of the younger crewmen, Ensign Miller, had also touched a mark, this time without warning. He lay on the ground, motionless, his hands still glowing. Jirali, the woman who had reached for Rayden, stood quickly and ran to the fallen crewman. She placed her palm gently on his chest, her lips moving in a chant. The glowing mark on her leg faded slowly. Miller's chest rose once, then again, and he coughed violently before gasping awake. His eyes were wide with tears. "I saw her," he said, voice cracking. "She was a child, alone in the rubble. She was scared. I felt everything." The humans stood in stunned silence. What kind of culture was this? What kind of people revealed their souls in such a raw, intimate way? Rayden tried to stand, but Jirali helped him again, supporting him like a friend, not a stranger. He looked into her glowing eyes and felt something he couldn't explain. Connection, respect, maybe even sorrow. He nodded once, as if to say thank you. She gave a small smile, then turned. To the rest of her sisters, lowering her dress slowly, the glow fading from her mark. The others followed. For now, the ritual had ended. But the message was clear. This wasn't a game. This was ancient, sacred, and dangerously misunderstood. As the humans regrouped and helped Miller to his feet, no one noticed the flicker of worry in Jirali's eyes. She glanced toward the temple's crystal spire, where a shadow had begun to stir. Another had felt the bonding. Another had awakened. Something old. Something not all Velari were ready to share. Rayden sat on the edge of the medical bed, still shaking slightly. His fingers tingled, not from pain, but from something deeper. He could still feel the weight of the memories that weren't his. Jirali stood beside him, calm and patient, her hands folded in front of her glowing dress. The rest of the crew was outside, watching her people from a distance, unsure what to believe. The air inside the shuttle felt heavy. Dr. Lin handed Rayden a small scanner and frowned at the strange energy reading it gave off. Your brain shows temporary connection spikes, she said quietly. It's like your nervous system was fused with something. Rayden looked up. It wasn't something. It was someone, her, Jirali. I felt her memories. Her fear, her loneliness. It wasn't an illusion. It was real. Jirali stepped forward. Her voice, soft but clear, filled the quiet room. What you touched was my mark. We call it a Velari. It carries the pain and strength of the women in my bloodline. When we open our dresses, we open ourselves. We show the truth. Rayden blinked. So this is normal for your people? Lifting your dresses, revealing the mark? Jirali nodded. To outsiders, it may seem strange. But for Velari, it is the highest form of welcome. We only reveal the Velari to those we trust, or those we hope to know deeply. Dr. Lin crossed her arms. One of our crew nearly collapsed from it. You should have warned us. Jirali's gaze didn't waver. Would you have believed me? Or seen it as a trick? We offered our souls. It was your choice to accept or refuse. The shuttle door opened with a soft hiss, and Lieutenant Harris stepped inside with urgency in his stride. Commander, we've got a problem. Earth Command received footage of the ritual. The ship recorded everything. They're confused, concerned. They want to know if this was an act of seduction or psychic attack. Rayden stood up. Tell them. It was neither. Tell them the Velari don't hide behind words. They share through feeling. He turned to Jirali. How did you know I could connect with it? That I wouldn't die from the shock? Jirali hesitated. Then, slowly, she lifted her dress once more and pointed to a smaller mark beside her main symbol. This one pulsed. Gently. Because your energy touched mine before we ever met, she said. I felt your arrival 2 days before you landed. The stars whispered your name. Rayden didn't know how to respond to that. Was it some form of destiny, or simply a poetic belief? He stepped out of the shuttle with her. The other Velari still stood calmly in the field, some watching the humans with interest, others with cautious distance. Ensign Miller, now recovered, approached Jirali carefully. I touched the mark without asking. I didn't mean to disrespect. Jirali bowed her head. You did not offend. You were chosen. A mark only responds when the time is right. Yours answered. Rayden gathered his crew in a loose circle. Listen up. This isn't just a strange cultural habit. These marks, they're emotional memory banks. They're sacred. We have to treat them like we would a living diary. A murmur passed through. The team, some were amazed, others still unsure. Rayden continued. This is more than diplomacy. It's about connection. These women are offering us something pure. It would be a shame to respond with fear. As the humans relaxed a little, Music began to drift from the temple. Soft notes, like crystal wind chimes. Jirali looked to the sky and whispered, "The council calls." She turned to Rayden. "They saw your link. They will want to test you." "Test me how?" he asked. "Will I have to touch another mark?" Jirali's expression grew serious. "No, this time. You will have to show them your mark." Rayden frowned. "Humans don't have anything like that." Jirali stepped closer. "That's where you're wrong. Every soul carries pain, grief, hope. You may not wear it on your skin, but it's there, buried. The Velari Council will ask to see yours. And they won't accept lies." Rayden swallowed. Hard. For years he had hidden his past, his brother's death, the failures in war, the pain he carried in silence. But now an entire alien world wanted him to lay it bare. A loud hum vibrated through the air. The silver spire at the top of the temple flashed red. Jirali's smile vanished. "They call for the right," she whispered. "But there is danger." "What kind of danger?" Rayden asked. She looked toward the horizon, where a dark shape moved slowly above the clouds. "Not all Velari agree with sharing our truth," she said. "And some believe no human should touch what we protect." Rayden turned toward the shadow. It was growing larger. "Then let's show them," he said. "That humans don't run from truth." But deep inside, he wondered, could he really show them the pain he had never even shown himself? And what would happen if they rejected it? The wind carried a strange sound as the sky darkened, and something ancient prepared to rise. Asterisk. Rayden stood at the edge of the temple steps, his eyes fixed on the swirling silver gates ahead. The sound of soft chanting echoed from inside, like wind weaving through glass. Beside him, Jirali walked calmly, her long dress trailing across. The polished stone floor. The Velari Council was waiting inside, and he was expected to show them something he had never revealed to anyone, not even himself. He glanced up. The skies above Zel'Vira Prime had changed. The earlier warmth was now heavy, and the clouds had taken on an unnatural red hue. The dark shape Jirali had seen still hovered in the distance, like a quiet warning. But for now, the danger waited. The real test was just a few steps away. Jirali touched his hand gently, her voice low. "Inside, they will not speak with words, only emotions. They will link to your memory, if you allow them. But if you hold back, they will know." Rayden nodded slowly, his heart pounding. He had faced battlefields, space storms, and near death in zero gravity. But this sharing his soul, this was harder. The great doors opened, and he stepped into the heart of the temple. The chamber inside was circular, filled with soft light that pulsed like a heartbeat. 7 tall Velari elders stood around a glowing crystal fountain, their faces half covered by shimmering veils. Their bodies bore the same glowing marks, but older, more complex. Wounds of the past, carried forward. One of the elders stepped forward and raised a hand. Jirali bowed and stepped back, leaving Rayden alone in the center. The elder's voice echoed in his mind, not through sound, but through feeling. "You were given the memory of the child. Now we ask for yours. Show us why the bond chose you." Rayden closed his eyes. He tried to summon something noble, something clean. But the crystal remained dim. A second voice whispered, "Not truth. Not yet." He felt the pressure rise inside him, as if his own chest were being unsealed. Images began to break free. His brother, dying in his arms during the Earth-Mars conflict. The blood on his hands. The night he quit the academy, screaming into the darkness. The weight of command. The loneliness of space, not the light in the room brightened. The elders breathed as one. The fountain glowed deep red, pulsing in time with Rayden's trembling heart. He dropped to his knees. Jirali's voice came softly behind him. "You're doing it. They see you. The images kept coming. Earth's broken cities, forgotten soldiers. A young boy holding a model ship, dreaming. Of peace. Rayden's eyes filled with tears. He was no hero. Just a man who kept walking while others fell. Then came a new feeling, not from his own mind. A memory so strong it pressed into his heart like fire. A burning field. A young Velari woman barefoot, running through smoke, her child gone, screaming, searching. She carried the same mark Shirali, Rayden gasped. This is your mother, Shirali nodded. And her pain is now mine, passed through the mark. You feel her because the bond has chosen you. The council slowly stepped forward. The lead elder touched his forehead. For a moment, everything went still. Then, with a soft voice that felt like wind through leaves, she said aloud, He is not hollow. He carries the fire of the fallen. He may walk among us. Rayden exhaled slowly. It was done. The ritual was accepted. But before peace could settle, a loud boom shook the temple walls. Shirali spun toward the entrance. No, it's too soon. Outside, the skies had darkened fully. The distant shape was no longer far. A massive black vessel, one of Velari origin, descended without warning. Its shape was jagged, cruel, unlike anything Rayden had seen on this planet. The elders' calm turned to panic. One of them whispered, The shadows of Varn have returned. The ones who rejected the bond, they think humans are a threat. Rayden stepped forward. What do they want? Shirali's face was pale. To destroy the bridge before it's built. They believe your kind will poison our truth. The crystal fountain dimmed. The air became heavy with warning. Rayden looked at the sky, then at the mark still glowing faintly on Shirali's leg. Then we fight not with guns, but with truth. Shirali touched his chest, just above his heart. Your pain became light. Let it shine again. Outside, the warship opened its hangars. Dark figures began to descend toward the temple. Rayden's fists tightened. He wasn't just a guest now. He was part of something ancient. And if he didn't act, the first bond between their species would be lost. Forever. The dark figures touched down near the temple, like shadows falling from the sky. Their armor was darker than night, shaped with sharp edges and glowing veins of crimson. These were not like Shirali or the council elders. These Velari carried no grace-only war. Rayden stood firm at the entrance of the temple, while the Velari council quickly formed a circle behind him. Shirali moved to his side, her body tense. They are the old guard, she said quietly. The ones who believe the Velanari should remain hidden, even if it means blood. One of the armored warriors stepped forward, removing her helmet. Her eyes were cold silver, with no warmth. A black mark ran down her cheek, different from the glowing patterns of the bonded. You have gone too far, Shirali, she said in a voice that echoed like steel. This human touched the sacred truth. That alone is a crime. Shirali didn't back away. He did not take it. He was chosen. The bond accepted him. You have no right to interfere. The warrior pointed a sharp finger at Rayden. He is not Velari. He cannot carry our grief. His kind sees skin and calls it scandal. They will never understand what lies beneath. Rayden stepped forward. I don't claim to understand it all, but I felt it. I lived it, and I won't let fear erase what we've started here. Another warrior moved, but the council raised their hands to hold the peace. The head elder spoke gently. There is one way to settle this. The final right. Shirali gasped. No, it's too dangerous. Rayden looked between them. What is it? The elder turned toward him. It is the sharing of souls. Complete and open. Both must reveal everything, no hiding, no silence. If one is false, the mark will burn. If both speak truth, the bond becomes unbreakable. The shadows of Varn cannot challenge it. Shirali's voice was soft, trembling. Only those born Velari have survived the final rite. No human has ever. Rayden took a breath. He thought of Earth, of Miller's tears, of the pain he'd seen and the hope he'd felt when he touched Shirali's memory. And I'll be the first. The council gave a slow nod. The shadows moved back, forming a ring around the temple grounds. A glowing circle was drawn on the Ve, ground made from the temple crystal. The ritual space, Shirali stood inside the ring. Her eyes met Rayden's, full of fear, but also trust. "Are you sure?" she asked. "No," he said. "But that's what makes it real." They reached out and touched hands. The world vanished. Everything around them faded into a glowing void, neither cold nor warm, just still. Then came the memories, a flood of them. Rayden saw Shirali as a child, lost in the ruins of a burned village. She called for her mother, who never answered. He felt her fear, her hunger, her first scar. He watched her choose healing instead of revenge, guiding others toward peace. He felt her shame the first time she showed her mark and was laughed at by her own kin. But he also felt her hope that one day someone would understand. Then it was Rayden's turn. Shirali felt his early years growing up in the ruins of post-war Earth, holding his brother's hand as bombs fell nearby. She saw him fail the entrance exam for command, then fight his way back up. She felt his guilt when soldiers died under his orders. And she saw the deep, lonely nights in orbit when he questioned if peace was even possible. Their emotions collided. Pain and courage, shame and longing. It was too much. Both of them dropped to their knees, still linked. The bond was burning hot, tearing through every wall in their hearts. Shirali cried out, "I can't hold it." "Yes, you can." Rayden shouted, "You've carried this for generations. You're not alone anymore." The crystal circle around them began to glow blindingly bright. The shadows outside watched with awe. The mark on Shirali's leg burst into full color blue, gold, red, pulsing like a heartbeat. At the same time, a glowing pattern appeared. Across Rayden's chest, over his heart, not alien, not Velari, but something new. Shirali opened her eyes wide. "That's not possible." The council stepped back in wonder. Rayde stood slowly. The mark on his chest was still glowing. "I didn't take your pain," he said. "I shared mine." The elder stepped forward. "The bond has accepted him. The rite is complete." But before the peace could settle, a violent alarm sounded. A human warship had just broken through orbit and entered the sky over. Zel'Vira Prime fully armed. Rayden turned toward the sound, dread in his eyes. No, they misunderstood everything. Shirali clutched his hand tightly. Above, Earth's warship locked onto the temple with targeting beams, and below, the shadows of Varn readied their weapons again. One mistake now, and everything they had built could burn in seconds. The sky cracked open with sound. Earth's warship hovered above the temple, like a dark blade ready to strike. Its long hull glowed with weapon lines, and red targeting beams locked onto the Velari ground below. Warning sirens echoed through. The air, sharp and cold. The peaceful temple, only moments ago filled with glowing symbols and unity, now stood frozen in fear. Commander Rayden Cole stared up, heart pounding. His own people, his own fleet had come, but not with peace. They thought he was in danger. They thought the Velari had brainwashed him. "Rayden," Shirali said, her voice tight with fear, "if they fire, we cannot stop them. Even our shields are not strong enough to block a full strike." Rayden turned to the Velari Council. "I need a comms link now. I have to speak to them." They'll listen to me. They have to. One of the elders hesitated and touched her crystal staff to the ground. A glowing panel rose from the temple floor, forming a floating screen. Shirali stepped forward and placed her palm on it, linking the signal to Earth's warship above. Rayden took a deep breath and spoke into the light. "This is Commander Rayden Cole. To Captain Aldrich aboard the ESS Valiant, hold your fire. Repeat, hold your fire. This is not a hostile world. I am alive. I am not compromised. I chose to stay." Static crackled for a moment, then a voice snapped through. "Rayden? What the hell is going on down there? We received video of alien females exposing themselves and making physical contact with your team. Intel reports possible psychic manipulation. Protocol demands immediate retrieval." Rayden's eyes burned with frustration. "You don't understand. That ritual was not an attack. It was their way of sharing truth. They offered their memories, their pain. I felt it. I shared mine. This is not seduction. It's soul connection. You're about to attack the only peaceful race we've found in 10-star systems." Captain Aldrich's voice grew colder. "And how do we know you're not already under their control, Rayden?" Before Rayden could answer, Shirali gently pulled him aside. "Let me try." She stepped forward, lifted her dress just enough to reveal her glowing mark, and placed her hand on the com screen. A soft wave of light passed through the signal, followed by a deep silence. Then a voice from above gasped, "What ... What was that?" A new voice asked, shaky, emotional. "I saw it," said another. "Her child, the fire. The screams. Sachi, she gave it to me. I felt her loss." Rayden nodded. "Now you understand. This is how they speak. This is how they trust." But before peace could settle, a sharp beep interrupted them. "Warning," came a robotic voice from above. "Missile launched unauthorized. Single warhead. Countdown engaged." Everyone froze. "Who fired?" Rayden shouted. "Someone overrode the controls," came Aldrich's horrified reply. "We can't stop it. It's heading toward the temple." Shirali looked to the sky, eyes wide. "We don't have time." The missile streaked downward like a falling star, growing larger with every second. The shadows of Varn raised there. Shields. The council began a final chant to strengthen the temple's core. But Rayden didn't wait. He ran straight to the center of the courtyard. He activated the emergency flare on his chest armor, drawing the missile's targeting system toward him. "What are you doing?" Shirali cried. "If it's locked on me, maybe I can pull it far enough from the temple." "No, you'll die." Rayden turned back one last time. "If I survive, tell Earth what happened here. If I don't, tell them why I chose to stay." He leapt into a patrol pod and took off into the sky, heading straight into the missile's path. The flare screamed, the warning signals flashing red inside the cockpit. He saw the warhead split the clouds like thunder. There was no more time to think. The missile locked onto him, followed his heat, his flare, his breath. The landscape blurred beneath him. Every light, every memory, every face on Zel'Vira flashed in his mind. Shirali. He thought of her eyes. Her pain, her trust, the mark she had shown him. The same one now glowing on his own chest. At the last second, he pushed the pod upward and launched a counterburst, exploding his own ship to trigger the warhead early. A massive fireball lit the sky. Below, the temple shook violently. Crystals cracked. The elders fell to their knees. Shirali screamed his name. Smoke curled high into the red clouds. And no one knew if Rayden Cole had survived. Asterisk, the sky was still burning when the silence fell. Pieces of metal drifted like silver snow from above, falling through the smoke and ash. Everyone in the temple courtyard stood frozen Velari warriors. Council elders, Earth's crew watching from orbit, watching the place where the human pod had exploded. There was no sign of Commander Rayden Cole, no voice on the comms, no movement from the clouds, only fire and silence. Jirali dropped to her knees. Her hands trembled as she touched the mark on her leg, which had dimmed, almost gone pale. He was inside the bond, she whispered. We shared everything. He can't be gone. He can't. The elder stepped forward, placing a kind hand on her shoulder. You both gave everything. If this is the end, let it be remembered not as death, but as unity. But Jirali shook her head. No, it's not the end. I would feel it. The bond would break if he died. But it still hums inside me, faint, distant, but alive. Above them, the human warship slowly began to pull back. Captain Aldrich had seen the sacrifice, felt the memory pulse Jirali had shared, and now realized the truth. Earth had misjudged. Rayden was not lost. He had led them into something bigger, something older than war and fear. Suddenly, a ripple of light flashed in the far distance, across the ruined treetops beyond the temple grounds. A second later, a distress signal crackled faintly into the comms. It was broken, static-filled, but it was him. This is ... Rayden ... alive. Systems failing, southeast ridge ... crash. Jirali's heart jumped. Without waiting, she ran. Past the temple, through the glowing forest, her bare feet flying over roots and crystal moss. Velari warriors followed behind her, weapons down. She followed the echo of the bond. That soft hum inside her soul, led her to a broken hilltop, where black smoke rose from the trees. There, half buried in the wreckage of his pod, was Rayden. His armor was scorched. His face was bloodied. But his eyes opened the moment she touched his hand. I didn't think I'd see you again, he whispered. She smiled through tears. I told you the bond would guide me. He laughed weakly. Guess I passed the final test. No, she said softly. You rewrote it. Back at the temple, the Velari Council called a full gathering. For the first time in their long history, a human was brought before them not as a guest, but as a bridge. Rayden stood at Jirali's side, the glowing mark on his chest now permanent, like a living symbol of the final rite. The elder spoke to both races, Earth and Velari, through a joint communication relay. Let this day be remembered. When one species dared to lift the veil, and another dared to look, what was once seen as shame became sacred. What was misunderstood became powerful. Captain Aldrich, now humble, lowered his head on screen. Commander Rayden, Earth owes you more than thanks. You changed everything. What happens next? Rayden looked at Jirali. She stepped forward, her voice strong and clear. We open a school. A place where humans and Velari learn together. Not just facts, but feelings, stories, truths. There will be no weapons, only memories. Months passed. The school was built beside the temple. Human children and Velari youths studied side by side. Some laughed at the marks at first. Others cried when they touched them. Slowly, the bond became a new language between two worlds. One day, a young human boy walked up to Jirali with wide eyes and asked, Is it true? You say hello by lifting your dress? The room went silent. Jirali smiled gently and knelt down. It is not about the dress, child. It is about trust. We don't show what is beneath the cloth. We show what is beneath the heart. Rayden chuckled. From the doorway. And Earth is still catching up. As the sun set across Zel'Vira Prime, the bond shimmered between them, not just in glowing marks, but in the quiet peace they had built. A peace born from pain, honesty, and one human who chose to see rather than fear. But far away, deep in the void, a silent star blinked inside an ancient ship. Hidden for centuries, Another species watched the broadcast of Earth's first bond. With the Velari, a tall figure with 6 glowing eyes turned to her council. "They've done it," she said softly. "The humans have made the bond real." Another voice replied coldly, "Then it has begun." The screen faded. Peace had started. On Zel'Vira Prime. But the galaxy was just waking up. The end.